Brendan Rodgers came out with a very controversial statement, if you look at it one way or another, talking about Glasgow Celtic, and that they could finish in the top 6 in the Premier League if they were to enter at this moment with the squad they have, Dembélé firing in all cylinders. And as much as it hurts me to be as realistic as possible, if there was ever a good chance in the recent 2, 3, 4 years of Glasgow Celtic to put forward this case, this would be it at the moment, after just proving that you can mix it with the best and take points off the best when he managed to draw 3-3 with Man City. But I'm not belligerently blinded by my green and white glasses.
Slightly.
I'm slightly blinded. I'm like
You're
this.
like 3 drinks deep.
Yeah, I'm losing my vision.
You're like 3 drinks deep. The 6s in the bar turn to 7s, but they're not 10s
yes,
just yet.
Exactly. The beer goggles are, I mean, not everyone's looking like Scarlett Johansson. They're more looking like, what's Tina Fey's?
Emily Blunt.
No, Emily Blunt's great.
It depends on what movie. Sometimes they make her up to not look as beautiful as she is.
In Sicario, but she still kind of come across good looking as well.
Sicario. There you go. Very deep references.
All right. Anyway.
Francis, there's a couple things to address at this point. For one, I'd be one to make the case that Celtic should be in the Premier League.
Yep.
And I say that for one very, very big reason. Celtic Park is one hell of a place to play. And
Absolutely.
It would create some moments, some great headlining storyline moments that, on top of everything else in the Premier League where there's already so much competition, just even if they went 0 and had 0 points throughout the season and got relegated in their first year, like just the matches, I know, I'm just saying, like hypothetically here, but I also think that if you take Celtic out of the Scottish Premiership, doesn't that whole entire league not fall apart, but the interest level just immediately?
Yeah.
Because you'd have to bring the Rangers,
of course.
Not the Rangers. And then everything else would just be, like, again, I was saying Partick Thistle's on the bottom of the Aberdeen's like somewhere in the mix. But these are teams that, again, they don't carry as much weight. Like, I give Celtic credit because I know you. That's like the only reason I know who Celtic is.
But you're absolutely right. You don't need to be as knowledgeable on Scottish football as everyday watchers to understand that when you know of a team, it carries weight outside of the realm that they play in. It carries weight in European football, and no other like Scottish Premier League team is able to really make an impact. Some teams maybe make the odd run in the Europa League and get qualification, or maybe like I think Hibs have done it in the past, Hearts, Aberdeen. But Celtic and Rangers are the Scottish Premier League, right? That's whether you're an Aberdeen fan, and it's hard to hear. I know a few of them, and they basically tell themselves that, no, we'd survive fine without Celtic Rangers. Those are the same people that also said
they'd win
Celtic,
the league.
Yeah,
they'd be really
exactly.
happy.
That's the thing. It's like, and then the same people will also said that Celtic would be fine without Rangers are the ones that say we don't need Rangers to come to the Premier League with us. And again, I'm realistic. The Scottish Premier League needed that rivalry. Already the league is gathering better ratings. Already more Celtic fans are starting to return to the home stadium. Celtic's fan base, I think, is one of the best in the world. But the last 2-3 years, their home attendance average dropped, the quality of players
not
dropped.
Against Man City.
Yeah, and not against Man City, but that's what I mean. This year, with Brendan Rodgers coming in, quality players looking to really want to play at Parkhead again, Rangers back in the mix, whatever way you want to put Rangers, whether it's the new Rangers, the old Rangers, whatever Rangers is there, it's still creating this intense rivalry again, and the league is getting better. But would I knock the opportunity of going into the Premier League and mixing it with the best?
Not.
No,
absolutely not. So here's how I look at this, because I know you're going to have a slightly more optimistic view of how they do. I think that they could be top 6, and what I mean by that is I think their ceiling is 6th. Which at the moment, counts as what Brendan Rodgers is saying is top 6. I don't think they can win, even though last year Leicester City and that whole run, you look back at how Leicester played last year, and no team was going to beat them last year. Even if Arsenal or Manchester United or Manchester City ever got their shit together, they didn't, and Leicester ran away with the league. But mostly, the teams that I can just look at immediately and just write off as better than Celtic, yes, sorry, Manchester City. Because, and not just Manchester City, I also say my biggest problem with Celtic really making a splash for the top 4 is I think that they can draw any Premier League team at home and beat most Premier League teams at home. I'd say at least half they can beat at home.
I think we can
convincingly.
beat on our day. We can beat everyone.
Can they go to White Hart Lane and win? Can they go to Stamford Bridge and win? Could they go to Anfield and win? And even places like, look at teams like Crystal Palace, Everton,
Stoke away, rainy day.
Like, it's not easy to play on the road in the Premier League. We've seen it time and time again, and while Celtic would have a major, major home field advantage, they wouldn't be able to compete with City, United, well, maybe United this year, Arsenal, I'd say those powerhouse clubs, Chelsea's. But I do think they compete with Everton's, Crystal Palace's, Southampton's, when West Ham last year had their shit together. Like, so 6th, I think they could finish 6th.
Yeah, I think they're on par with the level that most Celtic superstars moved to. Like Wanyama moved to Southampton, Van Dijk moved to Southampton. Yeah. And a lot of times people I know close to me would be like, why are they leaving Celtic to go and play with Southampton? And they're so engrossed in how big Celtic is as a club, because they're bigger than any of those clubs. Celtic are as big as anyone in the top 4 in terms of their name outside of their league. Like, everyone knows Celtic because they know. Yeah, there's 65, 70, close to 70.
It's huge.
It's a huge stadium.
It's tall. It's scary tall.
And it's a huge
Why'd you
fan
guys
base.
build it that way?
So that no one can get in. Well, like Trump, no one can climb over. So I'm confident in saying these things. Celtic could beat anyone at home in the Premier League, any of the teams. And it's not meaning that Celtic are that good at home. It means that there's inconsistency in the Premier League. If this was La Liga, I would say we could beat a lot of teams at home, but not really Barcelona and Real Madrid.
We'll actually have a good idea of that in about 3, 4, 5 weeks when Barcelona
We've beat them
heads
at
to
home.
Celtic Park.
It's funny things. We beat Barcelona at home in the Champions League, but as we know, it's a different kettle of fish. But the Premier League's inconsistency would play into Celtic's favour at home, because we're very consistent at home. Guardiola in his post-match press conference was like, we knew what Celtic were like. We knew that they're amazing at home. They won this amount of games in the row. We know that Man United have lost here, AC Milan, Barcelona. So he wasn't surprised. The only thing that would hinder Celtic is away form, and is trying to adapt to a different style in the Premier League. Scottish football's so fast, right? So fast, even faster, I think, than the Premier League in terms of the pace. But you combine that speed with the quality of opposition. Celtic play sometimes down to their opposition. If they're playing a Dundee United, if they're playing a Partick Thistle, if they're playing any those teams that are they're relying more on the physicality of the game rather than the quality. The Premier League is one of the best and most entertaining leagues, because you've got that fast pace and you've got high quality. You've got high quality players, so that would be a struggle. And the other thing is, to take on the pro side of Celtic going in, they would be on a level playing field and have the amount of money that you get in the Premier League, which is a ridiculous amount of money in comparison.
Yeah, plus teams. So I guess if they were in the Premier League, a lot of those players wouldn't leave because they're already there.
You would keep a hold of Dembele, you keep a hold of Tierney, all these kids.
And what about guys who've already left?
They would want
Wijnaldum, who left Celtic.
Wanyama
left Celtic. And probably some of the guys, I'd say, before I was even watching world football last, 10 years ago, that also left Celtic.
Yeah, there's so many like Celtic, by the way, when they were in their prime,
do you think they would be better than 6th? Or
I think give us a year in the Premier League, I think we'd struggle. Maybe I think top 10 would be a realistic goal, and considering this is great.
You're supposed to be the blinded one. You're supposed to be like 3rd. We're gonna finish.
Get my dad on the phone. He's like, get my dad. I will win it. We'd win it, no problem. We'd win it, and I'd be like, Dad, what? Are you serious? No, we'd win it. No, but if you want that opinion, then go and get Celtic fans. But
he's saying we would win it.
Yeah, in a very Scottish way. The last point is the feasibility of this in the future. England and the FA basically said it's not happening in the near future. That was the latest reports. But the same thing happened with Welsh teams like Swansea and Cardiff. Now they've moved into English football, and it's showcased how successful those teams could be. The Welsh leagues aren't thriving. If Celtic and Rangers left, Scottish Premier League football would turn into the Irish League. That's it. It wouldn't be as interesting. You'd lose a lot of TV money because Celtic and Rangers are the big draw. And teams are getting better with Celtic and Rangers.
I've very much learned very, very quickly you need Celtic and Rangers in the Scottish Premiership for there to be a Scottish Premiership.
Absolutely.
What happened when Rangers wasn't in there?
Yeah, it was. That's what I said. The quality dropped, attendance dropped, the excitement dropped. And Aberdeen fans will tell you, no, we were competing with Celtic, so it was just as good a league for them.
Aberdeen fans loud and clear in our comment section.
I'm sure
there's some. I guarantee you there's some, but I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying, like, Aberdeen stand up.
To answer to the final point, put this Celtic team in the Premier League at the moment, at the start of this season, I think a realistic 6 to 10. I think European football.
6 is your ceiling.
6 is the ceiling, 10
relegation
is minimum.
Is also your
I don't think we get relegated.
It's your floor.
Teams that get relegated are teams that can't win at home either. Like, look at Aston Villa and away from home. Like, Celtic would destroy teams at home.
Defend your home field. Always. Across every sport. Comment below.
What do you think of the hoops? Let us know in the comments. Of course, there might be some bias here, but I think we've been fairly reasonable. I don't think we've jumped right into the Celtic Cup that we usually have head first.
There'll be 100. people, at least in the comments.
Yeah,
You're
they'll
out of your mind. That's why you watch anyway.
Francis _Maxwell Twitter, Jason Rubin 91. Someone in a comment asked, "What's your IG?" Well, we say our IG on it. Francis Maxwell, host, Jason Rubin 91. You can check us out on there, and TYT Sports and all the good stuff. Come back again soon.